Hi, guys.
Hey, Chris, how are you?
Good. I don't want.
Okay, we're live.
All right. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Economic Development Committee will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with the right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town website at www.southboroughtown.com. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch or participate in the meeting may do so in the following manner: by finding the meeting at www.southboroughtown.com/remote meetings. No in-person attendance or members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time by technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite our best efforts, we will post Southborough's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or any other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after this meeting. So with that read, I call the meeting to order at 6:35 on Wednesday, October 14th. In attendance, we have Mr. Moorhead, Ms. Conley, Mr. Robbins, and myself, John Wood, which gives us a quorum. In the audience, we had Board of Select Person Lisa Rossivo and Claire Reynolds. All right, meetings we call to order. Next on the agenda, discuss Village Mixed Use District update, expansion, and next steps. So update, Julie, I'm assuming that you probably have spoken to Judy. Everybody was at the Board of Selectmen's meeting, which was the joint meeting with Planning Board and ShopC. I think it went very well. We have a few questions I want to follow up with during this discussion, but Julia, I will follow up with you first to see any update from the meeting.
I've actually not spoken with Judy since the meeting. I think, she has her marching orders, so I will check in with her and just kind of get a status update. But I don't actually have anything additional to report on that.
Okay, how about you, Lisa? Anything to add? You can unmute. Lisa, did the Board of Selectmen speak with her at all since the meeting?
No, the board hasn't spoke with her. I know she had sent out a email on Sunday. I didn't get it until yesterday, so I haven't actually had a chance to delve into it either. Other than I think she was talking about some of the revising some of the structure and the standards based on the meeting. So I really don't have a lot to add other than I know that email did. Marty received it, I know, on Sunday because he forwarded it to me on Tuesday.
Okay.
And I apologize. And I was explaining to John before we went on record here that we've had a the system failure at my work where I have all my town emails forwarded, and so I haven't received it. I sort of did not get any emails from this weekend, and they haven't been recovered yet. So it came in on Sunday. Then I don't have it. So
do you want me to forward it to you,
yeah,
Julie?
if you don't mind.
Sure.
I'm getting them now, but there's a little bit of a black hole that hasn't been recovered yet from over the weekend.
Sure, I can send it to you right now to the same email.
Yeah.
Okay. Safeguard. Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll do that right now. You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
I don't know if everybody had a chance to take a look at it. Claire sent a great follow-up. My dogs are barking. Mute so you don't have to listen to them barking. Yeah, that didn't work. So anyway, I hope everybody had a chance to take a look at Claire's follow-up. Claire, do you want to go into an update with your follow-up a bit? And then there's a bunch of questions like that she posed at the end that I definitely want to bring up and get those hammered out today if we can. So Claire, do you want to give us any update from you?
Yeah, my reason for putting that together is because there's been a lot of people involved, and there's been a lot of changing in roles and everything. And the important thing, and Sam Stivers said it in the meeting, that there has to be a project manager. Now, whether or not, I was kind of a little surprised because I think
Well, I was
that,
going to bring that up. I didn't know if you wanted to give an update first, and that we can bring up it afterwards.
Oh, all right. What are you looking for in?
Do you have any updates from anything on timelines or things like that since the Board of
Well,
Selectmen's meeting?
the timeline for the zoning, the timeline is exactly what was put in the last document that I had sent out. And when Julie, Marty, and Judy and I had the discussion the day before the meeting. So it was Monday, October 15th, October 5th. It was a call. And Judy committed to having the document to be reviewed at the Selectmen's November 4th meeting in order for them to be able to vote on it, to get it to the planning board, who needs it by the 19th of November in order to have the first public meeting scheduled for their December meeting. So all of that was put in the timeline still holds.
Okay. Now, is that timeline, was that to be for town meeting, or is there a timeline that, I just want to make sure that we're on a timeline for anything that has to go with the grant? That, you know what I mean? That I don't know if you have specific times where.
It doesn't have any, no, it doesn't have anything to do with the grant. What I did was I met with Sarah and Karina. And in order for the which after the Board of Selectmen approve the article, and Sarah said it has to be 90% or not, she used the number 92. I'm not exactly sure where that came from, but at any rate, in order for them to have their vote and then pass it on to the planning board to do their thing. Now, their thing includes having town council take a look at it, and the 2 to 3 week notice that has to go in prior to the public hearing, if the public hearing is going to be held at the one planning board meeting that is scheduled for December.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
your
okay.
timeline is to base it on to get it to Springtown meeting.
Yes.
But
absolutely.
the grant, we don't have any timelines that we have to meet to get the grant money. That just has to be done.
June 2021, the end of June 2021.
That's not far. That's just after town meeting.
Well,
And that's, John, if I may, that's if town meeting is even able to happen in March and we don't end up in potentially June or later, depending on COVID.
So we need to get this pushed through for town meeting before fall town meeting. Otherwise, we lose the grant money. Is that correct?
no, before it's springtime meeting.
I understand that. So
Yeah.
what I'm saying is it can't be pushed out till fall because we'll lose the grant.
Well, the actually what you could do, and I will double check this, but I've read this thing through thoroughly. I don't know how many times. If there is, let's say that there is a document that is ready for town meeting in the spring. And for some reason, spring town meeting doesn't happen. Okay, this is just a scenario, okay? As long as that document exists and Judy has done her thing and she needs to just get paid for doing her work before the end, the bill needs to be submitted before the end of June 2021.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're putting the right timeline on it. So this has to be completed by June 2021. So
Yes.
I just want to
Yes.
emphasize the timeline, that it's not just for we could push out with that. We're rushing this through to get to town meeting. We're rushing this through because we're up against a deadline for the grant as well.
Yes, and we've had a couple cancellations and delays and everything, and you are absolutely correct.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure that, thank you. So getting back to Claire's document, and now I didn't mean to interrupt you before. I just want to find out on the timelines and things like that. Do you want to get back into what you were talking to Sam and about who's managing the grant?
Do I want to discuss that now?
Well,
Yeah.
you had started getting into that. So those are the
Yeah,
questions. Did everybody
I
see
don't
Claire's
understand.
document today?
Excuse me?
I'm just making sure that everybody had a chance to review your document that was emailed out by Marika. Hopefully everybody is prepared and saw it.
Okay, so just quickly, the reason that I put that in there is because Marika and I had been doing all of this work and had the scheduling and everything that Marika and I totally understood. My concern is that there's a very tight timeline. And so therefore, with putting that together and the whole project management of it, I mean, the state, I was identified to the state as the project manager. So I'm a little concerned in terms of why somebody had a question that the whole program needs to have a project manager. And I'm going to contact Sam on that and find out after he's read this, if he still has any more questions.
Them, who is them?
The Board of Selectmen, I guess the Board of Selectmen, meaning Sam Stivers, asked the question at the Board of Selectmen meeting, we need a project manager. So according to our knowledge, we have a project manager, which is Claire, who's managing the grant, which includes the zoning article as well as the wastewater study. And they are paying us to do this work. So Claire was just trying to clarify that with Sam.
Thank
where
you.
that question came from. Sorry, I just jumped in.
No.
Sorry. So the selectmen, mine, I just want to get this, I'll clarify it this week. So the Board of Selectmen have taken the reins on this project to try to get this through with the other boards. I know Lisa's here now, and she's the Board of Selectmen person that they had appointed, and Julie is our appointee for the EDC. So I guess my question is, who's managing, the biggest part is who's managing and contacting Judy. I don't want to have too many people going through. I don't want to have too many cooks in the kitchen, so to speak. So I think we should have pretty much one point of contact, so have the selectmen spoken, or Julie, have you spoken to the select board about how you guys are going to handle Judy? Lisa, have you and Marty and the other select members spoken about anything with Judy?
No, but I think in some of the conversations that Marty and I had, I think it would make sense. Obviously, I want to be involved in those conversations so I can obviously report back to the board. And I think where Julie's your point person, and it seems that's where Judy's sending the emails to. I would suggest it be Julie and I. Obviously, everybody wants it to be the most collaborative effort that we can have. So, and I think that keeps everybody on the same page as well, in between meetings and in between drafts. So that's just my suggestion. I don't know what Julie thinks about that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. And Lisa, thank you. I just received that email that you forwarded to me. I did not have that before. So I'm glad that this call happened when it did and that I have it now. I haven't had a chance to read it all through yet, but yeah, I'm fine with that. And certainly we will keep Claire copied and in the loop too, because so she can, do her work and administer the grant.
Of course.
But
So can
that's fine.
No, sorry, go ahead, Judy. I didn't mean to interfere.
That's all. No, I mean, that's fine with me. I've, spoken with Judy a few times now. I think we're on the same page. So, and, I know that, Claire will make sure to keep me on task to make sure that we get this, that we stick to the timeframes that we're committing to. So.
No, absolutely. I didn't mean to exclude Claire when I said that at all. I figured obviously that she would be, included as well in the conversations, but as far as point people.
Can I just make a quick comment? Because I feel, I was the point person before, I guess, when was this? The meeting we had with Board of Selectmen, I guess the first meeting that Judy Barrett appeared. And I guess that's when Marty said that, the Board of Selectmen would actively take a lead, which is fine. I just want to make sure does Judy needs to also be informed who her contact person is, because right now she's sending emails to Marty. I mean, if the EDC is still, running with this and looking at, at the content of what she's providing, we need to see what she's providing. And are we still supposed to vote on it before we send it out to other committees and boards? So in that sense, I find this very confusing that we have like 3 people involved. There should be one person who manages Judy Barrett. And did Judy Barrett get a specific date for her first draft? Second question is, would it make sense for her to send something to the EDC or to Lisa, whatever, before we have the meeting that the Board of Selectmen can vote on? Because if we have certain changes or if we are not happy with her draft, then we won't lose precious time. Secondly, or thirdly, I really feel strongly, and I've been sending emails, so I'm sure many of you are aware of this. I feel we've lost 2 precious months because Judy Barrett was hired in July. She said she could, give us her first draft in a week or 2. And it's 2 months later, and I feel the first draft that she sent the morning of the meeting, the Board of Selectmen meeting, was not satisfactory because most of the information that was in there was actually taken from our VMUD that we worked with Adam Costa on. So I just feel, because Claire and I have been working on this like content-wise, I feel very strongly, and we have to make sure that we manage Judy Barrett and that she's informed who her contact person is.
If I can add something to that. So Judy, to my knowledge, hasn't been forwarding anything directly to Marty Marika. The emails that I've seen, and it's just, I am the point person for the Board of Selectmen, and Marty just wants to be kept abreast of what's going on with this. So that's why he is still listed on there. I know Marty was on the conversation on Monday that I couldn't attend. I had something prior going on. So I think as a Board of Selectmen article, I need to be involved and know what's going on to be able to report back to the board. And again, from our viewpoint, and it's not a slight in any way to EDC.
No, I mean, we're not talking about slight. I'm just talking about practical stuff. I mean, we can copy you on every single email, and we can include you in every call. That's not the point. It's more managing Judy and making sure she stays on track. Because with Marty's comment at the Board of Selectmen meeting saying that, okay, I'm going to run with this, we said, okay, fine, Board of Selectmen is in charge. Judy Barrett took it that way. But right now, we are 8 weeks later, and nobody is making sure that this article physically gets done. And we can't wait and say, oh yeah, we told her we need something by the end of the month. We can't wait till the end of the month and then be surprised with whatever she sends to us. And that's my concern.
Well, I think based on, again, Julie and I haven't had time to really delve into the email that was sent from Judy. I know in skimming it, there was some time frames she spoke about as well. I think I certainly would like to have a call with Julie when we can actually discuss in detail. I mean, as the point people on this, I don't think anybody's going against the timelines, and everyone understands the timelines that you have, Marika. And I think we would stick to those timelines, but I think
But we are not, because no, to be honest, Judy was supposed to have something with us, for us, on August 13th.
And I understand that, Marika, I do.
So in that sense, we are not, we are not following the timeline. And that's what I mean. I mean, maybe I sound a bit over the top, but I feel we are losing time. I mean, there's no reason for it, and I understand. So that's what I would propose, that Claire manages Judy, that we set specific deadlines for her. We can't just have these general things like, oh, send something to us at the end of the month and emails going here and there to this person, that person. We just have to have one person, and Claire can be at the direction of you and Marty and Julie. But this is not working this way, in my opinion.
Claire has her hand up, but just to the point. So we asked the selectmen to take over. Then I forget the date of the first their meeting where they agreed to, and we met with Judy, and then he put them on hold until we had our group meeting. So I don't want to look back and say we lost that time. I don't want to lose any more time. So I agree with what you're saying. We need to hold her accountable on scheduling moving forward, and hold her accountable to the dates that we perceive. Claire does have her hand up, though. I saw that and I told her I would let her speak. So can you put Claire on?
Battery 80%.
Claire?
DSKRKKLL7G.
Who's talking?
I don't know.
Somebody's battery's at 80%.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That was me.
You had your hand up, Claire.
Yeah, thank you. So here's the thing. I would suggest that the Board of Selectmen talk to Sam Stivers, who really understands project management. And that's not a slight to anybody. Here's the deal, guys. I have done project management. I know project management software inside and out. I have taught it. And here's the reason why this is important. And I'm sure that Mike must know that with some of the things that he's worked with on some projects. You need to have dates, you need to have track slippages and everything, so that at the end, if there's a problem, everybody can identify where the problem was. So I would suggest that you talk to Sam. Here's the thing, you cannot be a project manager and have the responsibility and then be the lost person that's, tagging into conversations. It just does not work that way. And if for whatever reason, the Board of Selectmen or you guys don't trust me as the project manager of this and go with a defined program, then I really can't do it, folks. Because I'm the one who's supposed to provide the reports. I can't do it.
So-
Marika is 100% correct, and I back her every step of the way.
Can I just, can I weigh in on this? So Claire, absolutely, we hired you to do the project management, and I know that you're good at that, and I want you to continue. So Judy's sort of one piece of this project, right? Because the only thing that we've directed her to do is to draft the performance standards, right? But that's not the bylaw, right? Am I correct? So
That's correct. And that's why
the timelines are important.
contract needs to be refocused. That was mentioned at the meeting on the 6th in a passing sentence, because she said her contract was to write performance standards. What
That's
we actually
correct, right?
now
That's
want her to do is the whole thing. So all that means is that the contract needs to be revised. Who is going to take over the management of making sure that that is going to get done?
Because wasn't it, sorry, I just want to make sure I understand. And I know, I've been, you've been much more hands-on with the details of this than I have. I absolutely can see that. So that's why I'm asking, because I think originally what we had talked about was that we'd have Judy do the performance standards, and then Adam create the bylaw. Is that right? Am I remembering that correctly?
No, Adam
No.
was to go in and make sure that the direction that we were going in wasn't going to bump into any other zoning stuff that we had. To be
So
very
who
honest,
did we think was going to write the bylaw if we only hired Judy to write the performance standards?
he was the one who said Judy has to write
Performance standards.
He said he couldn't do performance standards.
So that's all she's writing, and then he's incorporating him into the bylaw, correct?
No,
That's how I interpreted it the same way that Julie did.
yeah, okay,
So I misunderstood myself. So can you?
probably, yeah, that was probably a mistake. And the reason is because Adam said that he's not a zoning expert. He's a lawyer who deals with zoning. Should Adam have been handled maybe a little bit differently? Yeah, I would say absolutely. I think Adam came recommended. He did his thing, but there was a point where it wasn't, it was out of his league, and that's where he recommended Judy. Now, the bylaw that he put together was, this is fine, this is a good bylaw, but I don't do performance standards. So that's what Marika and I had been led to believe was the reason that Judy needed to be hired to do performance standards. And if you look at the differences between, which came up at the meeting, the differences between what they were calling the VMUD version 3 and Judy's Town Center Standards version 1, she took 2 pages from the VMUD and then just added performance standards, which is what was
We're asking?
in her contract.
So,
Now, subsequent to that,
revising the scope of her work, are we also revising what we're paying her?
well, I don't know, that hasn't been discussed yet. I mean, the contract is not to exceed $5,000. Well, if you look at what she provided, that's, even at $175 an hour, there's a lot more left to the amount of money there. Because all she did was add 2 pages double spaced of performance standards. If somebody took the time to look at the 2 documents, which I would be glad to go over with anybody, they would see she took 2 pages from the VMUD, and that's why I really Julie handled it very well. When they said that the VMUD didn't include any green space, well, that wasn't true at all. It certainly did. And you just need to read the 2 documents.
So
Okay, so yeah, so I think if we're to be clear, I think we need to make sure that we know now if we're asking Judy to do the whole thing, I think we need to make sure we're clear about that. And I still think it sounds like it's still 2 parts, right? Because the performance standards are the details that are going to probably have, some debate around, that we want to make sure we're on the same page with the Board of Selectmen and the Planning Board and the other committees that are interested. So I think and feel free to disagree with me, Claire, Marika, or Lisa, or anyone, but I would still think we maybe want the performance standards first as a point of discussion to keep, to keep the timeline moving along, and to start sharing those, and then also be having her, simultaneously, once those are done, and, we at least feel like that's a solid draft that we want to, share, that should be shared with the other boards and committees, start putting that in a bylaw form. I just think, and again, this is certainly not my area of expertise, but I can't imagine that, she's not going to ask for more money. And I hear you, Claire, that, it doesn't feel like there's, been a ton of work put in yet, but at $175 an hour, she's, we've been on 4 hours of calls and meetings with her at least, maybe more, probably more. That doesn't include the work she's done. So it's $5,000 can still go pretty quickly. And so if we are asking for more than that, are we, is that coming from the grant money? Are we comfortable with that?
It's
again-
it's built into the grant money, okay?
Okay.
That's not the issue. Marty brought up at the call on the 6th in terms of her, in terms of Judy providing, if there had to be a change, so be it, that wasn't a problem. And if you remember back to the call the day before, Marty specifically said to her, will you have a document that is available at the end of October such that the selectmen can approve it at their November 4th meeting? Such that then it can go to the planning board, which it has to be there by the 19th if the first public hearing is going to be scheduled for December. And she committed to the fact that she could do that. And if you remember, what she said was, oh, I've already been working on the document to be the complete zoning package.
That's the article, Claire, not just
yes.
the performance standards.
Yeah. So in other words,
So we're looking for a due date of the whole article by the end of the month in 2
yes,
weeks?
that was the understanding. And check with Marty. That was the understanding at the end of the phone call at the on October 5th.
Sorry, Claire, if I just may, I don't want to repeat things that have already been said, but basically Adam Costa started because we asked him, we want to write an overlay district for the downtown. So he started with that, starting with what is our purpose, what do we want in downtown? So we listed all those things, what uses are allowed, what is the zoning process going to look like? And he looked at all that and compared it to what is existing there, and to see if it would fit with the underlying zoning, because that would, in our idea that at that time, that would stay the same. So we did all that work with him. So basically, in my understanding, that's the zoning, that's the overlay district. And then he said, okay, now we get to the performance standards, which are the nitty-gritty details of the sizes of the buildings and the frontage and the setbacks and the green spaces and the parking lots, as well as we had some very subjective things in there, which he felt should not be in a bylaw. They should be in separate design guidelines because you want to make that process as objective as you possibly can. So when a developer comes in, they know exactly what is allowed and what is not allowed. So we took out, in version 2, whatever, we took out all the design that we thought would go in design guidelines. We took out all the subjective things. And he said, I'm not a planner. I cannot write the performance standards. So we have everything in place. We know what you want. Now you have to find a professional planner to write that for you. So that's how we hired Judy Barrett. And that's how we came up with her contract that, okay, we have this document we worked with Adam Costa on. She even spoke to him, had a meeting with him, and she would provide us the performance standards, which she said would be an easy thing to do. It would just take her a couple of hours. So that's what we are waiting for. And before the November 4th meeting, where the Board of Selectmen have to approve or not approve the final document, I think that we need time to discuss performance standards, because that's where the planning board and all the other boards and committees will want to give their feedback. I mean, they all have their own ideas about, affordable housing or sizes of buildings, and we need time and set up meetings to work that out before we are even ready for November 4th. And that's what I meant by, I'm worried about the timeline.
May I make a suggestion? I think you guys can do what you want, or tell me if I'm wrong. I think that Claire, Lisa, and Julie should have a call or speak tomorrow or sometime offline and hammer out who's running the show, who's handling the working sessions, the scheduling and when we're going to have them, and who's managing the project with Judy in mind and getting that squared away. And I understand, Claire, you're the EEA project manager, which is great. But I think looking back at what we've already lost or haven't done, isn't helping. I think we need to figure out what we need moving forward and get that moving forward, because we don't have a whole lot of time left. I've been saying that time, and it may seem like really far out in town government time, but then all of a sudden it's here. So that's why the last couple of meetings, I just kept asking, I want to just know the schedule so we can schedule any type of meeting we need to do. So is there any way, like, Julie, maybe sometime, I don't know if you have time tomorrow or shortly, if we can reach out to Lisa and Claire and Judy as well and hammer a schedule down of when we're going to have all this stuff and everybody gets on the same page that way.
John, can I just add one thing? Obviously, I wasn't on the call where there was an agreement that from Marty, and again, I don't want to speak for him because I wasn't on the call. I know the board is planning to have another joint session with other stakeholders. And now, listening to what I'm being told now, I don't know how that's going to happen. Get a draft of something. Planning board, Donnie Morris had talked about amending the business village district, not just performance standards. So I don't know, looking at a time frame of, you know, the end of October, I think at this point I have concern in being able to get all of this done and get planning board to support it, have the meetings that are required, and also bring the other stakeholders in. So I think a call tomorrow probably would be a good idea so we can all get on the same page.
And same timelines.
Same timelines, because realistically, in looking at, you know, what was suggested at the Board of Selectmen's meeting from Planning Board, and obviously they are a key stakeholder in getting something to pass town meeting, and they were talking more of a business village district, some form of rewrite. So again, it's kind of going in a different path than you guys have gone in the past, and you know, and again, I wasn't part of the call, and I know Claire, you had said that Marty said you wanted it available and done by the end of October. Am I misspeaking when I say that?
No, not at
Okay.
all. That's
Okay,
exactly
so-
what you said.
And based on, you know, what took place at the Board of Selectmen's meeting, I worry. So probably a call tomorrow, I think would be great and warranted. And, you know, the Board of Selectmen are meeting on Tuesday. So, you know, certainly if I need to bring something back to them on timelines and, you know, and get more thoughts from them as well. I just worry that these timelines are really tight at this point. And
Just so that everybody knows, this timeline is not a surprise. This was put in an email a month ago.
I'm not saying it was, Claire. I'm not, again, I appreciate everything that you've done, and I'm not trying to take away from that. I'm just trying to look at my notes from the meeting that we had and some of the discussion that's taking place today. And it seems we've got like two parallel things going on here. There's the performance standards, and then there was the recommendations from Planning Board and Donnie Morris of actually finding some way to do a town center district. And I know, you know, that was talked about. So probably, again, I think probably an offline conversation that Julie can bring back to you guys and I can bring back to the Board of Selectmen on a timeline. And, you know, certainly I think a conversation with Planning Board or at least the chair of Planning Board is in order as well, to make sure that, you know, we're all on
Agreed.
the same page. So
Yeah.
I am available tomorrow at any time. Unfortunately, it's my one day that I have nothing going on. So I'd be happy to, you know, make myself available at any time, Julie and Claire, whatever fits your schedule.
I just can't stress the sense of urgency enough by the timeline. That's why I keep asking these questions.
I know.
It comes really fast. That's all. So I think that's great. So that helps a lot. Claire, are you on board with that you guys can call tomorrow and just hammer this down?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
can I just mention, I just want to second what Liz said, Lisa, excuse me. The planning board we've got to be in agreement with the planning board before we go to the Board of Selectmen with anything. I mean, I can't imagine, that sounds like reverse order. We've got to be in sync so we're ready to go. I mean, if the meeting's set, I mean, we've lost time, but Lisa, with your influence, we need their input soon.
Agreed.
Keep having discussions and not getting agreement on how we're going to do this. The two of us, I mean, the two of these committees ought to be sitting down. Let's craft it out. Judy's coming in with a draft. And the trouble is Judy has not responded repeatedly for meeting the requirements of the agreement. So we've got to have a discussion with her, obviously, that you've all going to do to make sure that we're on track and we're not going to be delayed again and again.
No, I agree, Chris. And, and I think Julie and I can certainly, and Claire, again, I'm not trying to exclude you in any way, but I think we can certainly have that conversation, Chris. And I think with having an EDC person and a member of the board as well, I think we can certainly get the message across as to what our expectations are. And, we can move from there. I don't know how you feel about that,
Lisa,
Julie.
I want to thank you and Marty and the board for stepping up and saying, we're in. We're going to do this and we're going to work with you and enable this to happen. The town is looking forward to this, and your leadership, along with Marty's, is crucial to add leverage to everything we're doing, along with your nudging the planning board to move into a higher level of speed to come up with a common ground that we're going to go forward with.
Okay, and I think, like I said, I think a path, forward to is to what we're all expecting from Judy. I don't know, and again, I don't mean to jump in, Julie. I saw that you were trying to say something, but I think in deciding what it is that are we actually looking for, some type of rewrite, to the zoning district, or because the last thing I want is you don't want to go to town meeting and have that one person stand up that can tank something. And I think that's why it's so important. And we probably should have, faults of the Board of Selectmen and whatnot, we should have been involved sooner, but we are now, and we just want to help get this over the finish line. I think we can do it. I think the meeting on the last meeting showed that. I thought we made good progress and what everybody was looking for to happen. So I think working together and collaboratively, we can get this done. I'm just.
Yeah, Lisa,
hoping that-
I want to say again, you're right. That meeting with Judy and everybody, literally, there was a coming together and an agreement because people had some tough questions and Judy addressed them very clearly and gave us perspective of how to do things right. So it was a great kickoff, if you will. And thank you for helping that happen.
Well, you guys made it easy. You guys have done the groundwork for how long? So, it's thank you should be to all of you for what you've done. So we're just trying to help get it that final step, Chris. That's what the board's looking to do.
I just have a couple more questions. So just again, to make sure we're clear. And so where Adam took us first was originally designed as an overlay, but he put together a framework of a bylaw, even though this was an overlay, right? And we were looking to Judy just to fill in the specific details, the performance standards. Because looks like we may be shifting away from the overlay based on the feedback that we got from Judy and from the planning board to a separate district, does that mean that, I think our original plan was Adam put together this framework, Judy was supposed to fill in the performance standards. Now Judy has more information and feedback based on the meeting that we had the other week. And then those performance standards were supposed to go back into Adam Costa's framework. That was going to be the document that we voted on. Is that different now if we're going to recreate the bylaw? And and again, I want to make sure that that everybody understands who is supposed to procure that document. Is that now Judy and it's not going back to Adam? And does that framework that Adam provided still work, or are we having to kind of start from a clean slate? Does anybody know?
Yeah, if I understand correctly, I think Judy said that it would not be a huge difference in terms of work if it would be a new district or an overlay. And I think she could do that work, but of course then she needs, we need to add that to her contract. So I think that's, but also the other thing is, has it been decided which way we are going? That's another important thing. After the meeting, I thought most people were in favor of a new district, but again, that needs to be clarified and communicated to Judy.
I think we need to figure it out, don't we? I mean, don't we have to figure out which way we want to go?
Well, that was discussed at the Board of Selectmen meeting.
With Judy? Okay.
at the selectmen's meeting, Michael, what you missed was she was saying that planners don't really go with overlays anymore. They either create a new district or do a rewrite. We could
Yep.
accomplish pretty much everything we wanted to. They're easier to get through, easier to manage without it being an overlay. In a nutshell, is that pretty much what you guys got out of it, Julie
Yeah.
and Chris?
Yeah.
So.
And we're good with that, right? We want her to run
Yeah,
with this, right?
Yep. I don't think we need to take a formal vote. I think planning said that they were okay with that. They like that better. The selectmen, it sounded good to them. Julie and I both said I didn't have a big one way or the other overlay with, as long as they accomplish the same thing. And we could still extend if we want to, because one of the questions was asking, some of the properties on our overlay weren't part of the district, and we could still be able to extend it to include, like in the past, we had talked about the properties between what number Main Street is Peter Bemis's property, all the way through Newton Street to Reliant Medical Center. We had talked about putting that part in the district, as well as the Christos, the Baltus's place across the street from the Main Street Bank. They wanted to be part of it, to be, if they could be mixed use as well in that property.
Yeah,
Yeah,
John,
and I
I
think-
talked to Paul Sabelli this week, and he had some really very good points. And, if you think about it, the more you talk about expanding, the more stress you're going to put on this whole thing. His recommendation would be, yes, the Baltus property, the one next to it, which is Sherman Ball's property. And, I don't want to say anything to anybody, that they haven't heard of before, but if you're talking about expanding it, the contiguous properties there, he only recommended 3 properties really be looked at, because otherwise, if you start dealing with those properties of the people who are on Latticequama, where half of their property is in the Business Village District and the other half of it is Res A, you're going to run into a problem there.
I didn't think
So-
we were talking about expanding it down Latticequama. I thought it was just those few properties right in downtown that we
Well,
had,
if you look
that
at
we had
what
highlighted.
yeah, but if you look at what Mimi Luttrell was talking about, she's right. Some of those properties, they're a little strange, and I asked Paul why that was the case. So I know that's not a discussion for tonight, but the point is that it would be really good to have him weigh in and with his ideas, because there are properties there on if you turn from Main Street down onto the Latticequama, on the left-hand side of the road, there are properties where half of them are in the Business Village District, or there are several properties where the back half of the property is in the Business Village District, and the front part of the property is in Res A, and that's what Mimi Luttrell was talking about.
Okay. So what should we do about those? What did he recommend?
He didn't really have a recommendation on that part, but I think that actually needs to be discussed in terms of how that, I could just say it would be just better off to leave them out of there, because their main properties where their houses are is in the Res A part. So, and I can show that to everybody who's interested right on a map. It's very, very clear. I asked Paul how that happened to come about, and he really wasn't sure. I mean, that would be somebody like, maybe Arthur Holmes or somebody who could remember back when that was done.
Yeah, and I think that this is, I am totally in favor of everything that you guys have said. And I think, there is some appetite for redefining the district boundaries. However, I also am a little bit hesitant that could be one of the more controversial.
Kicking a bee's nest.
Yeah, correct.
So, I think we want to think a little bit about, do we open that door right now? I mean, I think part of me thinks the answer is yes, because once we, it'll be harder to do later, I believe. But also I think we need to be careful and clear. I think you're right. EDC's talked about this and it's come up in other contexts, but I think you're right that, we need to take a look at a map and say, okay, where is the boundary, and be really pointed about what other areas we want to include. So, and I think it's something we might want to talk to, I think that's one of the reasons that we thought about going with the overlay in the beginning was in considering expansion. We didn't want to we wanted to make sure that what was in place could stay in place. And I think that's still true if we do a new district, because I think it'd probably be grandfathered in, but it just, it's something we definitely need to be careful of and have a clear picture of what we're asking for and why we think that's appropriate, and, make sure that we're getting stakeholders involved and engaged with that piece.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, Julie, this was one of the reasons why we initially decided to go with an overlay, because of course we have a best case scenario that, but we have to face reality that we don't want to, we want to, for people, a lot of people are scared for change. So it was one of the ways to ensure that a lot of people would be, they would still be able to do what they're doing right now. So that would give them a level of confidence. And same, if we wanted to expand the overlay in the future, it is easier to do that as opposed to expanding a new district. So those were all the reasonings why we went with an overlay. And I think, we discussed it with Judy. I don't know whose ultimate decision it is to decide on this, but.
Yeah, at the Board of Selectmen meeting, it sounded like, people, at least from my perspective, it sounded like people were on board with, with the new district as opposed to an overlay. I think, and I think we can still preserve the existing without changing, what's there with doing a new district. But yeah, no, you're right, Marika. Those are all things we talked about, but I don't know. I personally don't know whether, all the nitty-gritty rules as to how it would operate differently as an overlay versus a new district, but we should definitely make sure we're clear on that. So when we're, pitching ourselves and our plan to the community, that we understand why we chose the path that we did and why it makes more sense, and why we would be, the properties there would be as protected in this by going the revised bylaw as opposed to an overlay. All right, so tomorrow, Claire and Lisa, let's maybe get on the phone, and then maybe after we're on the same page, let's get on the phone with Judy. In the email that she sent me on Sunday that I didn't get, that Lisa just forwarded to me, she was asking she had some questions and she was asking for a call. So, I think the three of us should talk first, if that makes sense tomorrow. I'm have some flexibility in my day other than it being homeschool homework day. But I can
and this is another consideration for everybody. You have to think of what's your bandwidth to really stay on top of all this stuff. It's really difficult for for the people who have kids and they're in school and everything. It's very, very difficult. And,
yeah,
that's a big consideration. I am available all day tomorrow.
Okay.
Want to be a courier? I got some stuff for you. I could use you, but so
you
tomorrow,
can't afford me, John.
I can't. I know, but so tomorrow, if you guys can hammer out that and Claire's questions and the next steps and things like that, that would be wonderful. And then get back to shoot me an email, let me know how it went, or give me a call. So, guys, is that okay? That work?
Sounds like a plan. So I'm available.
Are there times that are better or worse for you tomorrow, Lisa?
No, it's completely flexible. I was home all day, so.
Okay, do you want to maybe try to do an early call so that we can potentially have the opportunity to, because tomorrow's Thursday, to set up a call, to reach out to Judy and say, hey, either Thursday at some point during the day after we speak, or Friday, to give her more than one option?
Yep, and I think I'm flexible for Judy on Friday as well to some
Great.
degree. I have a little less flexibility, but I can switch things around and make it work.
Okay.
That sounds like a plan.
All right, so do you want to say like, 8 a.m. tomorrow, 9 a.m., what works for you guys?
Whatever, again, I don't have kids at home trying to homeschool, so Julie.
Julie, let's do it on your
Oh.
schedule.
Yeah.
Feel for
What
you
works
guys.
for you?
I know, what works best.
Let's do an 8 to 8:30. I think that should be enough time, and then I can get the kids going on school before I start work.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna send you guys both a call-in number right now while I'm thinking about it, so we don't take
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Thank you.
John, do you need me for anything else?
Yeah, this next item real quick.
Okay, you got it.
So the next thing on the agenda is discussion business appreciation program. This has been Chris's baby for years. He's always saying we got to appreciate the businesses that are here and take care of them and acknowledge them. Marika and I were talking last week, the other day, last month, I don't even remember anymore. With the new business going into Ferris's building, we want to send them a welcome something. We want to Arcs Advance for expanding there. Want to have an acknowledgement, maybe a once a year award for the best business in Southborough, things like that. But I really think that as an EDC and as a town, we should acknowledge some of the bigger businesses here and the contributions that they give to this town. Marika, do you want to expand on that a little bit? Nope.
Yeah, I agree with you, John. Unfortunately, I think we started, visiting everyone, all the businesses again before the pandemic hit. So it's kind of been on the back burner for the last 6 months. But I've also spoken to Chris, and I think we need to quickly reestablish that, even if it's via Zoom or
phone
socially
call.
distant meetings or phone calls. And I think especially since whatever good news we can share and celebrate, I think we need to put it out there and also let the businesses know that we notice that and that we appreciate them. And I think it would be great if we can come up with a business appreciation program. Like you said, once a year, think of an award and present it. Unfortunately, I don't think this is going to happen, but we were working with Main Street Bank to have to organize a dinner, or not dinner, but drinks and snacks, during Thanksgiving, and invite all the local businesses to thank them. So we have to think of something else we could do. As I don't know if sending out mailers is an option, but and I agree we need to meet with all the bigger players, or there are a lot of big global companies that have been around for a long time who are even homegrown, and I think we need to all get to know the business leaders, and that includes we should include the Board of Selectmen and Mark Purple in those visits. I think would be great.
And if I can add on that, Marika, there was a time when actually Chris and I had gone to a few businesses in town and had started doing that. We went to I think it was it Reliant at the time, Chris, when we went, or Southborough Medical
Yeah.
still?
Sure.
Yeah.
But you can't imagine what a difference it makes when a selectman shows up. It really changes the perspective of why these businesses are in town. There's a community that cares about them. We're an inclusive community. They're integral to everything we do. Many of their employees live and work here. Their kids go to school here. And the more we all work together, we can accomplish great things working together. And so.
And that was one of the goals of one of the goals from our goal study meeting with the board as well is being able to get out there to the businesses with members of EDC, and let them know. And everybody was on board with it. So I think you'd be looking at not just one selectman, but based on availability, you could have your pick of probably all 5 of us to, get involved in some way. I know the board's very concerned about the business community. I know at our last meeting, we actually did a 50% waiver on alcohol licenses because we understand, how tough things are for our businesses right now. I know, and John, I don't know if this was something you were going to bring up or if I should just touch on about on our agenda for Tuesday.
Please do.
Okay, so one of the things we have on our agenda for Tuesday is to talk about an extension of the outdoor dining for any period up to 60 days after the end of the state of emergency. So I know the outdoor dining has been very successful for, the businesses that have taken advantage of it. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to participate in Ola's outdoor dining quite a few times during COVID. So I think it's a great opportunity, and I think it's a great opportunity for our businesses, as long as the weather stays nice. And I know, John, you could probably take it from there. You were looking into some things as well.
Yeah, some of the other states around us, they are going to be shutting down, outdoor dining around early November. So there was a lot with the tents and problems with that. So I talked to Lisa asking if we had a plan on. She's like, oh, that's actually on our next agenda for the outdoor dining. And I know that there's proponents on boards and committees that would like to see it extended even beyond, afterwards, if we can figure out a way to have outdoor dining and things here. I do know some of the challenges. We can talk more about this after we get down to the grants later, but there's limited supplies of just about everything that has to do with outdoor dining right now, because everybody's scrambling across country to get the same thing. So, but I appreciate that you guys are extending that. I know Ashland hasn't even talked about yet. I know TJ's is afraid that they're going to be losing their outdoor dining soon, and that's a big piece of their business. So hope it's great that Southborough's being proactive now on this and helping extending that to 60 days beyond the state of emergency. That's awesome. So that'll really help, I think. So thank you for that, Lisa.
Yep. And I know that there's been conversations as well in trying to create a process or a path that even next year, if hopefully COVID is no longer ruling our lives and life gets back to some level of normalcy, that it's an easy path for the businesses to again be allowed to do this. I mean, obviously there would be a little different restrictions with the ABC and everything. But we're working on trying to put together, I know Lori Esposito from the Selectmen's Office is trying to work on a process and a path that, with short notice, 30, maybe 45 days notice, we could actually, outside of COVID, have the outside dining and have it available to, those that wish to participate in it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
So anything else on the business appreciation program, Chris? Anybody want to talk about that anymore? What they think we should do?
I think you've nailed it on the head. And we should celebrate when you think of what St. Mark's has done for the community. Its field that's always available, the hockey rink. Bill DePietri helped rebuild the community house, provided fireworks for the 4th of July. All of these people have given without being asked all the time, and that deserves special recognition when we get a chance to do it.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with more. So we'll figure that program out. I like that idea, and we'll move on that. So I just wanted you to hear what we were thinking on that, Lisa. So thank you. You can jump now if you want. I appreciate being here tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Everybody have a good night. Julie, Claire, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you, Lisa.
Good night.
All right. Next thing, reports.
How much longer?
Well, since we're paying $150 for a recording thing, as long as we can. No, we haven't got all that much more, Chris, maybe another half an hour, but it's important stuff. So next thing on the agenda is the reports from the chair and the members. So my report, I just want to make sure that everybody saw what Marika sent out today with for the Economic Development Committee's / goals and assignments that we had kind of put together before. I don't want to go into it too much tonight, but I know everybody's got a lot on their plate and we don't have that many members, but there's a ton to do. So if you guys could take a look at what the little chart that Marika sent out that had people with the Downtown Initiative, the Business Outreach, Commercial Properties, Route 9. I want you to look at it, see what you guys think you could work that would be a fit for you guys, and how you could think that you could help out, even if it's an hour a week. If it's not even an hour a week, it's an hour every couple of weeks on some of these different things. It would be great. committee and board liaison. Even if you just follow like another board, like I go to the advisory meetings, the SHOPSI meetings, Housing Authority, Board of Selectmen, so I can report on those. And I know that Julie's on the master plan. I'm going to the Trails Committee meeting tomorrow because there's a lot of boards and committees that we can interact with and benefit both of us, especially like for downtown. Like I'd love to see more connectivity downtown. And when
When's that meeting tomorrow, John?
I think 6:30, maybe 7. I'll have to follow up on that one. But I know that they were looking to do a bridge, and they're also looking to do some fencing around over by the MDC land. And when conservation sent out about that grant, the climate change grant that's out there, I reached out and talked to a member that might actually fit their bridge they're trying to put in. So once Marika sent out the newsletter, the first newsletter that we did every month, other boards, member committees started sending things out when they were doing things. And there's ways that these grants can fit everybody. So I think if everybody just stays in touch with other boards and kind of keeps an eye on what things are going on, whether it's recreation, whether it's a different sports, whether it's arts, whether it's open space, whether it's conservation, all these things tie in. If we could just kind of keep our ears open to what they're doing. So maybe it'll help, we can help them. Maybe they can help us. Maybe it's just a good thing for that way. So again, I don't want to go into that too much, but if you guys could take a look at that and for the next meeting, just say, you know what, this sounds like I could do this or not. And if you're at maximum bandwidth, I get it. A lot of us are. So I understand. So if you can just do what you're doing now, that's awesome. I appreciate it too. But if we could just kind of take a look, we're short. If you know anybody that may want to get on the EDC, we can always use the help. So that's it for my spiel on the chair report. Does any members have any reports they want to give or talk about on this? Nope. Okay, if not, so I'm moving on. Marika, I'll let you go on to the your coordinator report talking about the micro enterprise grant, and then the shared streets, and I can jump into that one a little bit as well with you with what I've been doing. Please.
Okay.
Excuse me, Marika, excuse me.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Sure. As long as we have quorum.
We still have a quorum.
Please go ahead.
Yes. So for the micro enterprise grant, I had another meeting this morning. We have meetings every Wednesday, which is really helpful with all the different communities and Mass Growth Capital Group. So the first round of applications closed on September 25th. And Southborough, we received 12 applications, or 12 applications were submitted by Southborough. And after review, unfortunately, only five were deemed eligible. This is not an unusual situation, and most communities have this problem because there are very strict eligibility rules, and these micro enterprise grants are mostly for medium to low income families or minority groups, etc. So, but anyway, we should celebrate that five businesses will receive the $10,000. The next step is that we have a last look at them in Southborough to make sure that they're all legit, and then they will be notified by the end of the month. The second round of applications opened up earlier this month and will be open till October 23rd. So I actually went and visited a lot of the smaller businesses along Route 9 and even Central Street because, and I gave them the letter and the link, and I pleaded that they should at least try to apply. So hopefully we'll get some more applications from there, but there are quite a few small, hardworking business people there with small companies. So I hope they will be successful. The good news is that we have this money available till December 2021. So I'm expecting if there's still a lot of money left after the second round, that there most probably will be a third round. So that continues. What else? Then for the shared streets. I don't know
On
if
that
anyone
one,
has any questions. Does
I
anyone
do.
have questions? Yeah.
Now, on the micro enterprise grant, are they
Yeah.
changing the criteria? I know initially they were going by the income reports of 2019. So if somebody had a
Yes.
great year last year and then made nothing this year, they didn't qualify for the
Yeah, so
grant
I
on the
guess the
first round.
reasoning for that is that, of course, that this grant is specifically meant for low to medium income families that were already low to medium income in 2019. But they did change that, so now people can submit their 2020 income. It does require quite a bit of documentation, but people can show their income for 2020 and hopefully be more successful. But this will be also relayed to them, this information. So if people were just kind of on the edge, they have all the stuff ready. So we would definitely urge them to apply again.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was my only question. Anybody else have any questions on the micro enterprise grant or distribution of funds? Okay, thanks, Marika. On that, can you move on to the shared streets, then, please?
Moving on to the MassDOT Shared Streets and Spaces program. So I had reached out to all the restaurants, cafes, as well as the fitness studios and gyms to see if they needed any equipment. So far, I received interest from 3 restaurants for tents and outdoor heaters. So both Ola and Tommaso are actually interested in an outdoor tent with electric heaters because they're currently leasing the tents. Ola is also, wanted to know if we were going to extend the outdoor dining period. So I'm very happy with Lisa's news. So I can relay that to them. And then Red Barn, actually the Red Barn locations are being taken over by New York Water Bagel Factory, something like that. And actually they reached out, they might be interested in doing some more outdoor dining. I think they're taking over middle of this month, maybe this week. So, and what else? And New Rose Garden reached out. They might be interested in the spring and not necessarily, they don't want to start outdoor dining at this point. Also, I have heard from the Southborough Gardeners. They are excited that we have planters for downtown. So they will assist with the sourcing of planters and maintaining them, I guess. So that's great. And I'm still looking at where to place the picnic tables and the bike racks. So I still need to talk to House of Pizza. But then we're good with that. I know, John, you are sourcing things. I don't know if you want to say something about it. Okay,
so initially when we applied for this grant, there was tents and everything everywhere to be had, which was quite nice. Now they're becoming, the 20 by 40s and the 20 by 30s are getting harder and harder to find. I've reached out to every state, a couple extra countries, even other continents. I did find some recently. I found 4, that's the pricing I sent off for the 20 by 40s. He has them in stock in New York. It's like a company called Fred's Tents. Marika, do you know what size Tommaso's current tent and Ola's current tent?
20 by 40.
It is a 20 by 40.
Yeah.
Okay, so I found I have options to get 4 of those. I'm still waiting for a couple more quotes that'll hopefully be in tomorrow, but these people have them in stock. I also reached out. I found a company that can have them in the 20 by 30s and 20 by 40s. They can have them in by mid-November, like November 9th. So I had them quoted out anyway, just to see what the pricing on that is. I've been outsourcing both electric heaters and the propane heaters. The propane heaters, I know some people like, but the average heater goes through a tank every 3.5 to 4 hours, which becomes kind of unfeasible, because they'll be running around. They're going to need more tents and liability. The problem with these tents are, so we're looking at them fire rated right now, but none of them are rated for snow. So I actually want to talk to the building inspector to find out how long they can have these out until, after snow or whatever, just to make sure on that. I also am trying to find out, other towns have walls on their tents. Southborough, we do not. I want to find out if we can. So you'll notice on the quote, I have a line item for an 8-foot tall, by, I think it was like a 20-foot sectional wall. And then if we can get them, we have to figure out how many tents we have, what size we are in the walls, go on that. But so we're still trying to find out if we're allowed to have walls. And I've got all the information from the fire department, what we're allowed for permitting for gas heaters outside with tents and things. So what I need to find out is how many heaters we're going to have and how many the use of that. And then the actual tent sizes, like Red Barn, if they want a tent, I think a 10 by 20 tent would be perfect for them for what they need, or even umbrellas for their things, or just the heaters. So if we can, I'll try to nail that all down this week so we can get the right things. What's nice is I think what I understood from Marika was if we're not committed to have to buy 4 tents up 20 by 40 tents and blah, blah, blah. If the tents come in at a little bit more with the walls for them, what we had put in for that, then we can just get like 3 and then add heaters and we can shift the money around. Is that correct, Marika?
Yeah, that's correct. And I actually spoke with Emily, the Board of Health nurse. So she said if you have a tent with the 3 sides, it's not considered outdoor dining, but it's basically just extending your indoor dining. So then those rules would apply.
Okay, so can we do 2 walls to stop the wind? I mean, can we do? Did she have any suggestions or thoughts?
No, I don't think she really knows. So she referred me to to another, I guess, state website. So I'm going to check that out again.
Can you do me a favor and forward me that website as well, so I can just take a look at that?
But I think for now, if we need to make a decision, right now we have willing takers for 2 20 by 40 tents. So I would just go ahead with that.
All right. What I'll do tomorrow is I'll send out whatever we get for more bids, and we have to. I don't know if we'll have to vote on that. Do we want to vote on the bids that we have on them? Well, we have a maximum price that Marika sent out, and these ones were way too much at this other place. So at Fred's Tents, I love the name, Fred's Tents and Canopies. They're 20 by 40s. The frames, a 20 by 40 frame was $25.76, and then you had to add $1,606 for the ratchets and blah blah blah. So it comes out to, it looks like about $4,400 a tent. I'm waiting to find out shipping on each one of those. So worst case scenario, let's say $500 for shipping if I have to go drive out and pick them up, tops, for gas in my truck. So it'd be about it's looking like $4,700 each for these. Do we want to make a motion to get a couple from Fred so we have them? Do you want me to do you want to make a motion that that's a maximum we can spend on and wait for a couple more quotes? I got a couple of good leads that went out today. I don't have their pricing on it yet. So I think I can beat that. I really think I could beat this pricing. Actually, I know I can, because that's what I do. But so how should we proceed with this procedurally? Does anybody have any thoughts on what we should do or can do or how to do it?
I mean, could we, I forget now what was in our application for the grant, but could we vote on getting, I guess, acquiring that equipment and not spending more than we basically asked for, identified?
Yeah, well, right now, okay, yeah, I could do, but that includes shipping. That's the problem. The tents that we had asked for, I think you had put in, I think it was like $4,500 a tent or something like that.
Something like that.
It was like $4,500 a tent, and because that's what we found them for online at that time, but I didn't include shipping. So
we'll exclude shipping then in the vote, and then hopefully you'll get them cheaper anyway.
All right, so why don't we do a maximum of $4,500 per tent, excluding shipping, and then I'll send the quotes off to everybody before we do tomorrow, just to show what the pricing was at. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, do I have a motion from anybody basically saying what Marika just said that I forgot most of? Sorry, it's been a long, long day. And getting longer.
Yeah, the
Anybody?
motion was to purchase 20 by 40 tents for no more than $4,500 excluding shipping costs.
Okay,
For the MassDOT Shared Streets and Spaces program.
okay, and we're gonna purchase two because we know we need that. Get those while we know that they have them in
Two,
stock.
yeah, two 20 by 40, yeah, because we know we can,
And no sides, we can't get sides.
we can't get sides?
I can get sides, but didn't they say we can't, Amy said we couldn't have side walls on it?
Yeah, but I'm not confident that she really knows. So I'm gonna still research that further.
35, 41. All right, so we'll leave the walls, the $4,500, that didn't include walls on this particular quote. So that'll exclude shipping and the walls until we confirm that we're allowed to have actual walls for state regs. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a seconded by Ms. Conley and Stuka. So, all right, then I will see what I can get for pricing tomorrow and shoot you guys the quotes out as well as
We need to take
more
a
of
formal
these.
vote, John.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you. Like I said, long day. All right, so so I have a motion, I have it seconded. Any discussion? Okay, roll call vote. I'm gonna just go as I see it on the screen. Julie?
Yes.
Chris? Suzanne?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Okay, so passes unanimously. 5-0. We have 5 people here. Wow. All right. And that I believe was it for the grants. Administrative business, recording secretary. So I got them. We finally got the contract signed last week and had it post dated to 9/11. I reached out to Taylor, who did our minutes. She did them. I got them today. The drafts, I sent them to Marika. So we have 45 days to vote on them from the first. So we can, you guys can take a look at those and we'll vote them on the next minute. Let me this is our first time doing minutes. I think she did a pretty good job. Make sure that you guys think that if it has enough detail, if you want more detail, whatever moving forward. But I think they're good enough that we can vote on them at the next meeting and go from there. I thought she did a nice job. So Taylor, when you watch this meeting, if you're watching it now, did a good job, kid. Keep it up. Nice to have you. So,
Thank you.
all right. So other than that, so there's administrative, any unfinished business? Nothing. Any new business?
Yeah, actually, I have new business.
I like new business.
I think it is. No, I just wanted to tell everyone that budget season is upon us again.
Ready?
So we need to submit our 2020 budget before the end of this month. So I will send out this year's budget so you can have a look at what we asked for this year and see, if you feel like anything needs to change.
And if any, I think we could get, personally, I think we managed quite well this year during the pandemic, so we didn't have a lot to spend or do, but I think we had plenty of money to do what we wanted to do. And I think knowing that next year's gonna be another rough budget season, I think if we kept it where it is now, we can make it work. That gives us enough in contracted services, still go after grants. I still I'm reaching out now before this fiscal year is done. I'd like to try to get grant money for transportation for once this is over. The COVID's over and hopefully by spring or whenever and things start getting back to normal, I'd love to be able to have more transportation come out of the T station to local businesses in the malls, not only just to the businesses, but to just public transportation would be nice to, for some of the seniors that can't drive anymore, that they could hop on a bus and actually know where the stations are and go to the mall or go to a movie or go to Westboro or something like that. So that's what my goal is, to get more public transportation and different things out of that. So if anybody, once you see the budget, if you think we need to add anything, let me know. I think we can make it work with what we had. And I think it would be easy enough to get that passed. If you think we didn't have enough and we really didn't, please let me know. And we're going to have any big things we want to move on with next year. So you could look at them and get back to us. That pretty much wrap it up, Marika, on the budget.
Yeah, that's it.
Don, I have one more question if I don't want to take more time, but
I got nowhere to go. I'm already home.
Follow up to the meeting, to the Board of Selectmen meeting. I was thinking, because I know we talked a lot about, incorporating Shopsy and housing into part of that plan. And Judy's response seemed to be that would complicate what we're trying to do down there to try to incorporate low-income housing. And I know that unfortunately Shopsy didn't get a chance really to speak much that night to that topic. I know they did, a few people did speak, and there were some interesting positions that were raised about different things that we could do. Have you heard any follow-up from them? I don't know if there's been a meeting since then.
We have not had a meeting yet.
Okay, yeah, because I know Tom Biscoe raised a couple of interesting points, and it's certainly something that we would like to align on them if we can, but I want to make sure that I just want to keep them in the loop and see if we can work with them and make sure that we're on our message when we're incorporating whatever we do with Judy on that too.
Absolutely. I know a member of Shopsy, so I can talk to him. That's me. I'm joking. That's my poor dad. That's late night dad humor at best. That was terrible. I can't even. I'm so sorry, people. It's been a long day. I know a guy, but anyway. So yeah, I'll make sure that gets talked about. I know Jesse had some pretty good. I was kind of hoping Jesse would have been at that meeting as well, with the Board of Selectmen, because he had some insight on affordable housing as well. So I'll make sure that that's brought up. I'll email Rand right now to see if we can continue talking about it. My little list beside me to do. So I will follow up with that. Anybody else you want me to follow up with? Like I said, I'm going to the Trails Committee meeting tomorrow.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I don't think I can make the meeting tomorrow night, unfortunately, but I would love to connect with you after, because I think from the beginning, that's one of the groups that we identified as somebody that should be a stakeholder and be a part of this, because that's what people want. That's what I want, and to the extent we can make, if we're going to try to really make downtown the heart of the community, like we've talked about, then trails are a huge part of that. So I don't know if there's, I'd love to, and I talked to Catherine Mickey, I think her name is, back a couple of years ago. She was really nice and really helpful, and it's probably my fault for not following up with her more on that. But yeah, I'd love that you're going. Thank you for doing that.
What happened was, I had talked to a couple of businesses downtown about, remember when they were talking about CSX, where they needed to talk to the Board of Selectmen and stuff. And then I was talking to my friend Tom, who's also on Trails, and he was telling me how they want to deal with CSX to try to, make a rail trail down from downtown to Central Street so it can go down. And I was like, wow, that would be awesome. So the time would be great to talk to them.
Along the railway, did you say down Center?
Yeah, because I guess there's some towns that actually have, that use the next to live railroads for their rail trails. There was a great show on Chronicle last week on all the different rail trails around us. It got me all gung-ho. I'm like, they've done an amazing job on the trail system we have already, with the loop trail around by the Peninsula Trail, and they're doing a heck of a job. And everybody, it's funny, everybody that was at the Board of Selectmen meeting was like, we all want a connective downtown that we can go from here to there, walkability, this, that, and everybody wants the same thing, and that's part of it. So
yeah.
Totally. Anybody else that you want me to reach out to? I've talked to Freddie a little bit, asking about what open space, like when we were putting in for this grant, I called her and I was seeing if she needed any benches or anything for the different parks when we were putting in for it. So, I mean, the EDC, I like how Westboro, they changed the name of it and made it the Community Development Committee, because it's not just about the economy. Yeah, that's a big part of it, and the economic part of it, but this is more to help a community, a sense of place. I can't wait, once the spring hits and I can really start getting on that little park on my side of town. I love that idea. I still, that's kind of like, because right down the street I can walk to it. And I loved, like, when they had the food trucks at downtown. That was awesome. I went there every week to get my grilled cheese or something silly like that. And it was just great. So
Yeah, it's so simple and such a good, easy, fun, community driven
Yeah,
thing.
that was the Rotary Club and
Yep.
St. Mark's.
that was awesome. I loved it. I loved everything about that.
It's
So if we could even
fabulous.
just have one food truck down at this little park down here in the summertime. And,
Yep.
you know, even again, have the local crafters like Heritage Day this year. And then like the little fair that they had at the senior center and the community house where like local crafters, like we had jewelry makers that make wonderful jewelry. We have people that make soaps. We have so many small little businesses in town that, you know, they could go out and sell their wares. And I know it's awful hard to make a big farmer's market, but we can do something small and local every once a month or a quarter or something. I just think it's going to be great. I don't know how we've made out yet with that property behind Southborough House, but that could open a lot of opportunities for a lot of different things. So I'm very hopeful for next year.
Yeah. I gotta remember to try to get an update on that. We should have asked Lisa.
There's nothing yet. I do know that, you know, I think they've reached out and they've given a price. I don't know if that's true or not. I've just heard rumbling some rumors. I haven't actually
Yeah, I
got
remember
any
we got a
official.
And it was expensive. It was like $250,000 or something, but didn't we think we could use some other funds to pay for it?
Well, in one of the housing bills that just went through, Southborough had $252,000 earmarked for stuff that property could be used for. So I'll find out more about that. I don't know if I think it made through I don't know who it went. I know it went through one of them and needed to go through the other. I don't know if it was the Senate or the House or whatever. So I'll follow up more on that.
Thank
That's
you.
on my thing. Anything else? So I'll follow with Dorian, make sure that stays on Shop's agenda. I'm going to Trails tomorrow, and you know, I don't think I'm on their agenda or anything like that, but she asked me to come, and I said I'd be there. So if I am on their agenda, it'd be nice to chat with them and see whatever we can do. What's nice right now too, if anybody can, there's so much grant money out there. If anybody that has, you know, for open, for like this shared streets and things like that, for open meetings outside. I don't mean open like an open meeting like this. I mean just that outside place to hang out where if anybody can think of anything they want a white whale that they want to go after for next year, think of it. It might be there. You never know.
Well, Claire and Marika have been awesome. I mean, we've been
Killing
talking
it.
about grants for years and they've made it happen. So
We've gotten almost $300,000 worth of grants in the last 6 months
amazing.
due to their work.
It's huge.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's amazing. So anyway, I think any other new business, Marika, did that cover what you wanted or we had
I had something just now, but I forgot. No. That's it.
Marika,
Yes.
Marika, did my response make sense about?
Yes. Thank you. So I did read your email in response to the quarterly report for the vacancy rates for offices that came out. I haven't read yet your attached report, which I will do.
Don't feel obliged to. It's very long.
No, but I think it's interesting. No,
I like
and the
it.
interesting part is, and I think maybe this can be a topic on the next meeting agenda, is just to discuss the the vacancy rates, because Southborough seems to be in the higher, has the higher level out there compared to other urban areas. So it's important to know and see how we can address that. So.
I always
It is
felt
higher no matter what. No matter which way you spin it, it is higher. So there's a lot.
Yes.
Got it, but
how much higher are we than say Westboro? I know we're about 5 to 8% higher than Framingham, which is substantial
I'd say probably 5 to 10% higher than Westboro.
as well.
Yeah.
Is that just recently or is that all time? Because you drive through Westwood, they got a ton of vacancies. Like I was over on West Park Drive, and most of that's empty, and they're building up there for Olympus to come in. But they still have a lot of vacancies. You go downtown to all like where Roach Brothers is and all that office building condos they put in. So I'm shocked that we're that much higher than them.
I think it's going to take a little bit for this all to play out. There's a lot of companies just shifting around right now, looking for deals. And not really addressing the long-term solution. So I think that's where, you know, we might come in and want to have some conversations with some of these companies.
How do you see it trending? Do you see a lot of the brick and mortar offices going more remote after this is even moving forward? I know Baker's been trying to push that and offer, you know, tax breaks for companies that offer their employees to try to stop traffic a little bit. Do you think that this is like I know one of my clients, they shut down 14 of their buildings worldwide and kept and they just moved it to headquarters, and they're keeping a lot remote. I think 1,400 employees are staying remote.
So I think we don't know what the end result is going to be. I think right now we're starting to see a lot of what you'll call Zoom fatigue and work from home fatigue. And I think initially everybody thought this is great, no commute, you know, all that. There's a lot of pluses. I think what you'll see going forward is the need for flexibility. So people will want to be in the office probably 2-3 days a week, but certainly not 5.
Do you think you'll see more shared office space if that happened?
So I think what that's going to do is essentially it'll reduce the footprint of a lot of these companies long term. So they'll still need office space, but they're going to reduce the footprint because there will be a shift in how much. But right now, I think a lot of companies are struggling with is we had so like densified these offices, right? Like people were operating at 100 square feet a person, roughly. COVID has changed that, but is that a long-term change or is that a COVID change, right? Like, I think that's where a lot of people are just sitting on not making long-term decisions right now. So essentially the office market is stalled is really what's happened. It's just literally stalled. Unless you're faced with a lease expiration, you're not making a decision right now. So.
Claire just put, Claire, you know, you can talk, right? You're still on this. You put, what's the forecast for lease renewals?
Lease expiration driven.
Yeah.
That's it. Honestly, right now, that's anybody's decision is really lease expiration driven. So
my question is, John, thank you very much. I was just trying to be polite. Just quickly, my question is,
why?
I know I've never been before.
I almost said, why start now? But I caught myself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I knew exactly what you were talking about. So anyway, a lot of people that I know are in situations where they are being eventually, particularly like Dell EMC people.
Yeah.
The question that they are going to hit is going forward, you've got to go one way or the other. Either commit full-time to working at home or full-time to working in the office. And this is how they are going to make decisions on what leases are going to be renewed.
Yep.
So the other part of it is a lot of businesses have found out from this that their workers can be as totally productive as they were in an office as they are now working from home. I mean, my Merrill Lynch guy told me, you know, hey, I haven't been in my office for 6 months, which is in Boston. And he goes, doesn't make a bit of difference. And I just think that the whole commercial real estate market is just going to go right down the tubes. And if you thought we had a vacancy problem along Route 9 before, and the EDC just needs to get out ahead of that and say, okay, before the pandemic, this was the vacancy rate. And these were the reasons for it. You know, let's take the sewers and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, that's new building, which is separated out from vacancy rates, which we know all of those buildings, maybe it's because of where I live and I go by it all the time. So I'm really very, very familiar with it. But the vacancy rate was really pretty high, and it is just going to go higher when these places find out. Shared office spaces is a big thing. You know, my client, PwC, had been doing what they call hoteling for years and years and years, and it works very well. And I think it's just going to expand. That's my clip on that.
Well, you get that whole office set up in Hopkinton, Hayden Row. it's all shared office space. Like, you share a conference room and all that. And
Yeah,
they've
yeah.
been, I'm wondering, like, if you had to guess, Suzanne, on how much they're going to reduce the footprint, I say 25 to 50%.
I think we're projecting, I mean, we is a strong word, but it feels like about 25% right now.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I'd say that as well. And
I think it has the potential to be more. I think bigger companies that have a lot bigger footprints have a lot more decisions to make, and right. So some of the smaller companies, with one office, have a little bit more flexibility.
Suzanne, are you familiar with that SVN Parsons building that's right on the Southborough Framingham line?
Yep.
Is that owned by Parsons?
I don't know off the top of my head. I mean,
here's the reason that I'm asking. That building is up on auction. So the thing is that if that building is owned by a commercial real estate company and they are up on auction, that doesn't bode well for the.
My guess is it's probably not owned by them, but I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah.
My guess, they probably don't.
I just thought I'd throw that out there, but I mean, it is up on auction.
I think I would. I think the answer right now is honestly nobody knows, and there is no way to forecast what's going to come. I think the end result will be it looks entirely different, but I think assuming that people don't want to go back into the office is a big assumption. I think there are a lot of people that do fully want to work from home, but I do think there are a lot of people that really miss the personal aspect of, adult communication. And
I'm zooming in now from my Boston office that is so much quieter than my house.
Yes. Do you know what I mean? Like there is something to be said for, collaboration and, and all of that, but also to be said for flexibility. So I think you're going to see a big switch in the requirement of being in the office 5 days a week, from companies that probably, were slower to adopt that, but long term, I don't know. I don't fully see the office going away completely. I think it's just look very different.
do you think it's going to affect A space more than B space, or do you think it's going to go across the board? Or do you think like these B spaces need to conform and be more like an A space, or do you think the A spaces need to be more like, I'm thinking that these B ones are going to have really step up. Like my old building, they called it A space. It was a B plus, you know what I mean? It never quite hit A. And they just redid it, and it's beautiful now.
And I think you're going to see, and I think still it's hard to know what coming out of COVID, what the amenities that a lot of these buildings were offering, if they're still going to be relevant or not, or if they're going to look different, right? Like a lot of them were communal type of amenities that people were craving, right? But
gyms.
Yes. But does that look different? I don't know. And so I think that's all the stuff that we just don't know yet. But I will tell you, we've heard, roughly occupancy levels in the burbs are back up to 20 to 30% in the suburban offices. I think downtown they're still 5 to 6% right now. So they're definitely creeping up in the burbs. And that's for, a lot of the obvious reasons.
Does anybody have any idea how we could potentially help build these buildings? What type of a program we do? I know Westboro offers TIFs. I know Marlboro offers TIFs. I don't think Southborough ever would or even consider it, to be honest.
Well, one way you do this is you network and reach out to these people. And it's amazing what you learn, not from brokers, but from people who hear about what's going on. And before we became a formal committee appointed by the town, those networks enabled us to help people out, or we learned from them and we helped them figure out a way to get another piece of property, or something was coming. Somebody had an interest in something that nobody else had heard about. So all this activity with the business community, you learn what those needs are by anecdotal conversations, it's surprising what you can pick up.
Yeah. I just think that come spring, it's going to be a
be
whole
ugly.
new world.
It's gonna be ugly.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's going to, I think the vacancy rate is going to be devastating
Yep.
to a lot of towns. I don't think it's just Southborough. I think it's
Okay.
everywhere. Because I think a lot of people are going to be like, oh, this is great. Now I don't need a car, blah, 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 blah. I can work from home. And I think it's going to trend. I think it's going to be higher than 25% decrease in
Yeah,
footprint. Personally, that's me. I'm guessing close to, if I had to guess, I'd say 40%.
Well, the implications
far off.
are it's going to knock the taxes down, collection of taxes dramatically.
Yep.
And
That's the big
all of a
impact.
sudden, before in the towns, everybody is going to be in a big crunch. And then you're going to have people saying, well, let's add a dual tax rate, but there won't be anything left.
Most do tax rates, they have it, though they wind up discounting the commercial rate so much it winds up being lower than the residential rate anyway.
Yeah.
So again, but
I think the big focus is on keeping the businesses that we have in town too, and really, the bigger companies that are, paying taxes and all that. Like, we want to keep them. We want, we don't want them to leave, at this point. So
what is this is I'm not trying to sound grinchy or anything like that, but what are the best revenue driving companies that we could put in? I know like server farms are huge. I know car dealership, for the personal properties are pretty decent. So I've heard, I don't know, I can't remember if it's true or how much it is, but storage facilities drive a lot of income out of them. So, I don't know. I'd like to.
I heard the storage systems, the only negative about it is there's no personal property tax that the Paul Sabelli collects when he goes in and assesses all the equipment.
Oh, I thought they did. I thought they got the personal property from appraisal value of per thing, but I could be wrong.
I know there's a tax for the property. I'm not an expert in it.
Me either. I just want to, I'm
know
going to try to.
He goes into a building and he'll go through offices and look at all the equipment they have, and there'll be a tax formulated about what their property is inside the building.
Yeah.
Lab space.
I was gonna say life science, lab space, biotech space, pharma space, all of that. But there's not a cluster that follows a cluster of those companies like to cluster together.
One thing we could do is, because I agree with all of what you're saying, the rain, or not the rain, the thunderstorms coming. We're in the unfunded pensions is a crisis that they don't even want to talk about. But we should get together a group of CEOs and have this kind of discussion. You get guys like Billy DePietri, David Eagle, who run their businesses. You can get Reliant, the CEO, one of the prep school guys. They're the biggest employers in town.
But some of them aren't the biggest taxpayers either.
Well, the Autism Center pays the equivalent in taxes.
Yeah, and they're the only one that does out of the private schools, Chris.
Yeah. Well, they pay 1 year. Anyways, that's another debate. They do pay taxes. Everybody says they never pay enough, but we ought to think about having some informal gatherings with some of these CEOs, and we can make a list, and then I'll be happy to call up and say, we want to talk about this. I mean, I can go talk to Billy Petrie and say, let's get about 4 or 5 people together and start talking about this.
Yeah, I'd like that. Whatever we can do to help them keep their buildings full and have their businesses stay. So, right now, my bandwidth is very slim to go meet with any frequency like Marika and I were doing before with the businesses. But the common theme prior to this was lack of talent that could come out because they're doing the reverse commute. You have younger kids living in town. Both my kids live in Boston, and they can't get out here because they don't have a car, you know, and there's no transportation from, okay, you get to Southborough, but you can't get to anywhere once you get to the station. So hopefully we can address some of the traffic issues easy enough with less traffic if the footprints are smaller. But I think there's things we can definitely figure out their problems and make a little bite out of them. So I agree with you, Chris. If you want to
Yeah,
start,
I'll be glad to get at least a group of 3 or 5 and have a 1-hour discussion in somebody's office about what can we do. And the town ought to be a part of it.
well, they will. I know that's a part of, we have a really good select board right now that's very proactive in most things and trying to keep businesses down, help out with, look at they were at our meeting tonight. They're trying to help out with getting our bylaw done. So I think we have a pretty proactive board right now that get it, that understand that we need to try to keep these businesses there, and they're looking forward to going and meeting them. I think we're in a good place to do these type of outreaches sooner than later, especially with the appreciation things. So we need to.
Okay. I'll go ahead and see what I can do.
If you can set something up, Chris, I'd appreciate it with
I will.
anybody, and
I'll be
I'd
glad
be
to
happy
do
to
it.
go myself.
I'll be glad to do it.
If you can set it up and just tell me, anytime anybody wants me to
Yeah.
be someplace, just tell me what you need me to do and when, and I'll
Yeah, and if
figure
you've
out
got
my
any-
schedule around it. But to try to put it into my schedule and then go from there, it's easier for me just to go and move stuff around, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, Susan, if you've got names of companies, you could look at your roster of companies in Southborough and you'd say, Chris, these are the players that are renting the most space and have the greatest influence. Give me if you've got names and phone numbers, I'll call these people direct. And same thing
Love
with
it.
you, John, or I know Julie, you're part of a big company. You're not in Southborough though, but
No, we're in Boston.
Michael, I don't know what your connections are, but if you know of anybody.
I'll ask
Downtown,
around.
I haven't been there for months, so.
So Suzanne, if you've got some ideas on that, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, let me give it a little bit of thought.
Thank you.
How's that baby doing?
It's crazy. They're all crazy.
How old is that little one?
19 months.
How'd your son make out after being in the cast for so long? How's he
He's
doing?
good. He's solid. They're
Oh,
all
that's awesome.
back to normal, but it's been a
What's that?
I'm not gonna lie.
What's normal?
You've had a even prior to COVID, you had a rough time. It's like, oh my gosh. I give you guys, all you people with young children that you're homeschooling and working and doing all that. I applaud you guys. I don't know how you did it. All I know is I'm glad it didn't happen when my kids were little, because we didn't even have internet. It was like that. We would have been hosed because I couldn't teach my kids anything. This is how you throw
That
it
was
out.
us yesterday.
Yeah.
Miserably yesterday, but we're
You guys
A
are
bottle
doing
of wine might help.
me and fifth grade math do not get along right now. So
great. Oh, fifth grade was the worst. I remember it. Anyway, does anybody have anything else under new business or anything they want to do? We have no public comment because we have no public here, so that was easy. Anything else?
Nope.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second,
Okay, a motion. All in favor? I'll start from the top of my screen. Julie,
Yes.
Michael, Suzanne,
yes.
Chris,
yes.
and myself. Yes, we are adjourned at 8:28.
Aye, aye, aye. Good night, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah.
Night.